start with the U.S. reports and deal with the human rights issues listed in them. In fact, reading the report, you realize a lot of it is something that is in the media, just that it's refreshing to have some of those issues captured by the U.S. State Department. Anyway, let me start with Lawyer Bijuzanan this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Sena, and good morning to your viewers. It's important to state that as a country, we have to know that other people are watching us. And I've heard a lot of people say that why would the U.S. State Department release such a report which is damning and reflects the true position of the kind of bad governance we are experiencing under this MPP government. And over the weekend, I met with someone from the American Embassy who obviously was a Ghanaian, and he made a forceful argument that to the extent that we run to the U.S. government for aid, to the extent that we go begging for monies which we misappropriate anyway, then even by the laws of the U.S., they are mandated to update Congress on why or how these monies are being used for. And so to our friends in government who are not so excited about some of the damning revelations, then we will say that they should be prudent and not run to the U.S. government. That way, the U.S. State Department may not be poking their nose into our affairs or be reporting obvious wrongs. But we cannot eat our cake and have it. We cannot go to them for aid and then say that they should not be interested in issues of corruption. We cannot go to them for aid and say that they should keep quiet about issues of human rights abuses and press or suppression of journalists. We cannot be going to them for funding and say that they shouldn't talk about political killings in our society. And so it's important we put that in perspective. But I would think that any responsible government would see this report as a useful feedback and ask what they can do to correct some of the ills. But I've heard a lot of government spokesperson downplaying the report and even trying to suggest that the report is not credible. And of course, that is what you expect from them. But I don't expect that from any responsible government. And so this morning, in having the discussion on the report, there were a lot of matters they spoke about, but I want to narrow my discussion to the issues of politically motivated killings, corruption, and human rights abuses. On the issue of politically motivated killing, it is instructive to state that the U.S. government found that as a matter of fact, this government and agents of this government are responsible for some politically motivated killings. And they did not just state these reports in very vague expressions, but they gave some very serious examples. The first one is that 8 people died from the from the 2020 election. Some of these killings were directly by agents of government. And I begin to wonder, and I've heard the president in the course of this week make an argument about we being a democracy and the fact that democracy was good for us. And sometimes I say that the work that the likes of Uncle Kwesi Pratt and the many people who were vocal against military regimes, I mean, the risks at which they put their lives, their families, their livelihood and everything, it appears that all the gains we've made in what is a democratic system for us have been eroded under this government. Because it should not even be the case that in comparing elections, one will compare our election, and for that matter, lives which are lost, with elections which were held under military regimes. In the first place, that comparison should not be made. So if after 30 years of being a democratic state, or in the Fourth Republic, we have to be compelled to now compare that in the 2020 election, 8 people died, but in 1992, we cannot recall how many people died. And the sadness about these politically motivated killings is that there is no commitment on the part of government or any agent of the government, be it the police, the military, or any arm of government, the Attorney General, the Shraj, nobody who has even taken special interest to investigate why these unlawful killings. And these killings were not just citizens, so some of these things were targeted at people who were sympathizers of the NDC. And anytime I go to the party headquarters, before you climb the NDC party headquarters, you see pictures of some of these people with wounds. Anytime I get there, I get chills, because I cannot understand how we live under a democratic government that there is no respect for the fundamental human rights, the most important, which is the right to life, that no person or government has the right to deny any citizen their right to life under any circumstance, not even under the circumstance where the people wants to exercise their right to choose for themselves a government they believe they want, especially under a democracy. And so for me, this report is damning. It is not something that we should take lightly, and I want to challenge the media that we should not let the discussion end like that. We should begin to hold government responsible, because this government has shown that they are not accountable. They are not amenable to opposing views. They are living like monarchs. It's like as though Ghana is now practicing monarchy. You cannot criticize the head or the monarch. He doesn't want to be criticized. Even if the president is living like an Arabian king, the citizens at whose expense those luxurious lifestyles are being experienced cannot even question, even though we pay our taxes. Again, on the matter of the political killing, they gave another classic example, Muhammad Kaka. This was a known MPP guy who voted for this government in the 2020 election. He was not even an NDC member. What was his crime? He wanted a better country for himself and for his people, and for that matter, Ghanaians. And before his demise, he received a warning letter from a security arm of government, which is the police, saying that you cannot criticize government. What you are doing is a breach of the public peace. I mean, no wonder you see people dressed as, policemen going to vote in this MPP constituency election. It's as though now there is a policemen arm of government. No wonder others will demand neutrality allowance, because if they are neutral and others are partisan, they deserve some neutrality allowance. But the seriousness of the matter is that even amongst the MPP themselves, they cannot be tolerant of opposing view, to the extent that a citizen has to lose his life because he would do some social media activism. It's a very scary environment we live in, because one of the main features of a democratic government compared to that of a military government is freedom of speech. And I have heard spokespersons of government say that, but freedom of speech does not mean that you can say anything at all. And when you ask for specific examples, they are not able to give you specific example. Some of the most irresponsible comments which had the potential of breaching the public peace in between the time 2012 to 2016 were made by members of the NPP. Some of the most irresponsible comments that should even land people in Sawam were made by them. A classical example was a speech made by President Akufo-Addo himself, that soon militants on their side who do not believe that the system can protect them will take the laws into their own arms. That was like inciting people, and they did not just leave that. I mean, they did not just make that statement, but they went ahead and in fact invited some mercenaries from South Africa to come and cause mayhem. So even in law, we will say that if you look at their mind and their action, that together they intended to cause some harm. Anthony Kabu said that if they did not win the election, then Afghanistan. Some presidential staffers even called for coup. They called that there has to be a coup d'etat in Ghana to oust President Mahama at the time. Nobody went after their families. Nobody killed them. Even when President Mahama was in government, he had all the powers. Nobody lost their lives. At the time when we had to change government, Ghanaians were given the freedom and the liberty to choose for themselves the government which they seek to govern them. And so, let nobody think that they are superior. It's as though this government believes that they are above the constitution, but all other citizens must obey the constitution except them, as though some exception has been created in the constitution for them. And these reports are not just isolated cases. They are a reflection of the culture of impunity, the culture of lawlessness that we are experiencing under this government. You have heard widespread reports about how members of invisible forces have become members of the military, who even go to the extent of perpetrating armed robbery on citizens. We have seen CCTV footage of some national security apparatus enter into places, ransack the place, engage in lawlessness, and nobody. I personally, I was representing a client at the police headquarters, and military men who were supposed to be military men, they were obviously not professional military men, they just had access to the uniform, who had been arrested and were being detained, and supposedly they have been seconded to the office of the president. They had gone to engage in some criminality, and they were now making calls as to who will call who for them to be released. This is not the Ghana, because you see, our forefathers did not fight all the military dictatorship and all the other forms of government only for us to make all these gains and conscious democratic gains, especially for a young democracy such as ours, for us to begin to have this discussion 30 years into the Fourth Republic. And this report is not even from the NDC, for us to say that maybe we just picked and choose. This report is from a certain independent arm or a certain independent department who do not have sympathies towards either the NPP or the NDC. And so that is why I would say that civil society should not fail us. The people who found their voices in 2016 should not fail us. I will plead with them to find their voices, because sometimes when the voices are strong enough, we send strong signals to government that you cannot waste people's lives and destiny and expect that you'll be rewarded. And I've heard John Boedu say that whether they work or they don't work, this government is going to be in power. So for this government, it is not about the quality of life of the people. It is not about the fact that the citizens must have their lives, which are precious to their families and themselves. It is about, no matter what it takes, even if 100 people would die, let them die as long as we win the election. And I have said that people who call for violence or people who endorse those forms of violence, you know, the bullet has no political colors. The bullets do not discriminate. The bullet will not know who is a man and who is a woman. Wherever the bullet is fired, it will get there. And so maybe you think you are protected, or because you are in government, other people would die. But I've seen stories about how some military men supervise some killings, and some few months later, their household have become virtually extinct. Either some of their family members have died, or some have had to end up in prison. It shows that there is some kind of law of karma, that if you take a life, some way, somehow, a life close to you will be used to replace. I don't believe in using children or other people to pay for the sins of the fathers. I believe the fathers themselves should pay for their sins, because the children and the other third parties are innocent people. And so this morning, we have to caution government that the country is not for the MPP. And the MPP are not first-class citizens, and all other members are second-class citizens. Neither do they think that they have monopoly over violence, because everybody, even the constitution, even the criminal law, approve justified use of force. But that is not where we want to go as a country. And so the government ought to be cautious, study the report properly. And I want to believe that it is even against some of these reports that the National Security Minister had to caution stakeholders in the country about how this country is, and even had to caution the judiciary, because you see, nobody wants instability. And so because nobody wants instability and democracy is supposed to be predictable, then we have to do the very things that promote democracy. And let nobody think that because we are 30 years in the Fourth Republic, our democracy is so strong. It is not strong. Even in the US, that they have practiced democracy for over 400 years. You saw what happened sometime in, I think, 2020, when the Republican lost the election. Just a tweet, and what happened. And so we all have to be careful. Now, on the issue of corruption about the report, I have never seen a government that fears transparency and accountability than this government. And what baffles my mind is why a 78-year-old man will be on government payroll, fly all the luxurious private jets, I mean, live all the childhood dream the president could ever dream of that he never could afford when he was in opposition, and still sack a 60-year-old man whose only crime was because he wanted the best for his country. And now you see, when you call for accountability, they tell you that, oh, but the Auditor General is responsible for auditing accounts, because they know that they have sacked the one who fights corruption. They have brought a man who practically is as old as the president himself and can't do anything. And anytime you call for accountability, now they direct you to the Auditor General. Because in that US report, it was found out that over 3 billion cedis have been, for want of a better word, stolen. Monies which were allocated for free SHS have been misapplied and misappropriated by who? And it is not just the US report, Sena. If you look at the budget presented by the finance minister to Parliament, he pegged the free SHS figure at a different figure, some 7.2 billion. Dr. Baumia, in his address to the nation on nothing new about the economy, also pegged expenditure on free SHS at a different figure. The president, during the State of the Nation address, pegged free SHS as a different figure. The same with COVID funds. Whereas the president said that they've spent 15.7 billion cedis on COVID, Dr. Baumia said they have spent a little over 8 billion. So who is speaking the truth? If indeed monies have been used appropriately, why do we have the same presidency giving us different figures? If indeed we can find the receipts, we can find the books and everything that the money has been used for, why do we have different figures being bundled around in official documents? These are not even extempore presentation where you say maybe the president and the vice president were not properly briefed. We are told that the Ghana's mission in the US has appropriated some 355 million cedis, and nobody seems to care. Shrash came out and said that ABAJ, who could not in all his life even save up to 50,000 cedis, had a total of about 15 million cedis pass through his account within a space of 2 years when he was made head of public procurement. And the only remedy of this government is that, you know what, Mr. ABAJ, a lot of people are talking too much, including Beatrice. And so you go home, have a long time, relax, and spend the 15 point something million cedis you've appropriated. You spend it with all the peace so that you are not discussed in the media. That is how this government has treated corruption. They have institutionalized corruption. Now, corruption is the norm. The government is not concerned about any long-term development plan. The government is not concerned about making the lives and livelihoods of the citizens they came to meet better. The government is concerned about how do we enrich ourselves. How do we enrich our family? And this philosophy of how corrupt they are and how they want to practically amass everything as though Ghana will be extinct by 2024 for themselves is reflected in how they've conducted their business. First of all, the president appoints his own children onto boards. When President John Mahama built Terminal 3, the president gave the duty-free shop to his daughter. The VIP lounge which the rich will pass through was given to the president's cousin. The president gave his own baby mama an ambassadorial position. And the rest, finance minister and all other positions, you ought to have a certain surname to be a beneficiary of this government. It tells you their psychology. When we had COVID, we had proceeds of about 33 billion from the World Bank, from the IMF, from the European Union, and from even the Bank of Ghana. What this government did was that they spent these monies hard cash. They claimed they were sharing food, they claimed they were giving goodies, all under the guise of election. And even as at now, we are not being told how much has been spent on the COVID fund, except for the conflicting figures we have. And recently, when the minority called for probe into the COVID expenditure, they blocked it with every might. And you should see, and when I say that this government sees governance as a business and a profit-making venture, sometimes people will agree with me. But see, the slightest opportunity for government to buy vaccines to save the lives of their citizens, they saw a business opportunity to milk the state 90% of what was being used. WHO says that don't buy vaccine above $10. Government says we'll buy it at $19. But for the vigilance of the minority, these monies would have been paid into pockets of members of this government to be beneficiaries. And so the corruption has engulfed us. If you look at the 2021 Auditor General's report, corruption has increased by 1,570% under this government. Whereas in 2016, we were told that financial irregularities was 780 million, a figure I consider very high. Under this government, from 2017 to 2021, the monies that have been misappropriated was 33 billion cedis. So you receive 33 billion cedis by way of COVID expenditure, and corruption under you is 33 billion cedis. Like we say in our local parlance, did we go or did we come? And sometimes the pride with which they even want you to know they are corrupt, the pride with which they even want you to know that they are misappropriating funds. And when you say, they say, oh, go to court. If you think anybody has misappropriated, go to court. That is the impunity, the level of irresponsibility, the level of recklessness. So I was not surprised when I saw some of the damning revelations in that report under this government. And finally, while concluding, I would say that, you see, sometimes if you are not your brother's keeper and you think you are safe, all you need to do is to watch your back. Because this report says that threats and harm against journalists have increased. Is the worst in the history of this country, at least for the Fourth Republic. Threats on individuals who express contrary views have increased under this government. The report went ahead and cited some specific example like Caleb Kuda or City TV. And sometimes that's where Sena, I have a challenge with you, the media. Sometimes you don't talk about some of these things that affect you, and you expect all the politicians to be talking for you every time. It may not work every time like that. You have David Tamaklo, who was arrested for what offense? Because he was conducting investigation into an alleged corruption at the office of the president. The same happened to Bobie Ansa. The same happened to the journalist at Adan FM. The same happened to a lot of journalists. Manasseh Azuri at a time says that he could not sleep in his matrimonial home. So if you're a journalist, your work is limited to praise singing of government or doing government bidding. If you decide to perform your role as a journalist, you are not safe under this government. The same president who in opposition stood on platform and told us that I will use the Anas principle. Today, Anas is a tabletop investigative journalist. The same government who said that if you want to enrich yourself, do not be part of his government. Today, that government is not, it's practically charging people who have called for just the government to be accountable, something which is intrinsic in governance. Government has issues with it. People have been arrested, some are facing trial, even religious leaders have had their share under this government. And so all is not well in the country called Ghana. When I was growing up, we used to hear expressions like Ghana is the beacon of democracy, the beacon of hope, the gateway to Africa. These days, have you been hearing such expressions? Now you can't even tell the difference between the country called Ghana and countries who are ruled by democratic dictators, for want of a better expression. And so, if you are not concerned about what is happening in the country, or if we want to be blinded by partisanship, I keep saying that Ghana is all we have. Ghana is all we have. If the country is good, we are all beneficiaries. And just as the country is bad, we are all victims of the same system. And so it is important for us to know that if this is the dossier the U.S. State Department has on us, and I believe that like every diplomatic institution, they may even have dirtier dossiers. But in tandem with diplomacy, they may try to water down some of the information for stability. And so the situation may even be worse than I am even attempting to glean from the report. And so the government must know that it will not be in power forever. The government must know that other people have led this country, other people have been faithful to democratic principles, other people have shown leadership. And so if the government will not improve on the gains we have made, it certainly should not erode the gains, because Ghana is all we have and all we will ever have is Ghana. Thank you very much.
My friend Hayford Kofi, who works for Shine FM, is reminding me, I was going to go through it anyway, but he says that if you are heading towards Akachi or its surroundings, just tune into 96.9. He sent me a message just so that I prioritize it. So good morning to everybody listening to us in and around Akachi. Let me do a few of your messages. Tafaina Marian, and I was shocked when I heard MPP constituency deputy women's organizer say her name had been removed from the delegates list. Hey, MPP, you do well. This is coming from Tafai Namra here. There's also Dennis Akwete, who says, indeed, res ipsa loquitur. Even the blind knows that our human rights records deteriorated badly and continue to detonate, rather paradoxically, under a loyal human rights president. No doubt about that, and we don't need the US to tell us. However, it was not only despicable, distasteful, and nauseating, to say the least, to have heard some security experts say the said report should be ignored because institutions in Ghana are capable of producing such reports when we have not heard or seen one yet in the face of the obvious. I just can't fix it. Shalom. That's coming from Dennis Yao Akwete. There's also Stephen Kobnato, who says, as for me, one of my issues remain the motivation for this government declaring that they got $100 million from the World Bank, when in actual fact, the government got $430 million from the World Bank. He had to take the World Bank country director to tell us that they gave us $430 million. For a government that could write to international rating agencies to correct figures to remain silent on a matter like this is something I am struggling to understand. That's coming from Stephen Kobnato. Musa Abatwa says, Sena, U.S. report on Ghana is true and nothing but the truth. In any case, the evidence is clear for everybody to see. Unless you want to be like Vice President Dr. Baumia, who has married lies as his third wife. The recent attacks on journalists and the pronouncement by the Apex Court leave much to be desired. Only President Akufo-Addo, Aunt Rebecca, Dr. Baumia, Samira Baumia, and Deputy First, so there's a Deputy First Lady, Sarah Bruni, are enjoying the expense of taxpayer. The hardship in the system is due to the impotence of the leaders we have today. Okay, thank you very much for that message, Musa Abatwa. Shangave. Okay, he says, I am glad Alhaji and Alhaji is back on our beloved station, Radio Gold. May God bless us all. This morning we are broadcasting on Radio Gold 90.5 after 3 years. Quite an exciting moment. Abbas Amogobo, in offensive, says the President Akufo-Addo would collapse the NPP party. Never in the history of Ghana have a party mismanaged the Ghanaian economy like this government. Prices of goods keep on increasing, causing more hardship. 2024 is do or die. Thank you very much for those messages. Keep them coming. A few on Facebook just now. There's I'm not sure if I get your name. Is it Wave Hakim? It's now clear that this NDC has absolutely nothing to offer the good people of this country. Talk about what you intend to do if given the opportunity, not to be polluting the people's mind with insults and attack. There's also Kasum A. Amwa, who says, good morning. Please tell those who are mute today to continue to do so when power changes. Else, please tell Uncle Kwesi Pratt not to. Okay, he is saying that else the beatings will give them. Please tell Uncle Kwesi Pratt not to call us to order. There's Patrick Ako, who says, Sena Akufo-Addo doesn't see himself as a president. Why do you think he decided to abolish the Republic Day? It is because he thinks he's a monarch and we are his subjects. Look at how state institutions have been hijacked. They exist if they are not there. All the state sources of income have been taken over by companies created overnight. Sena, we are living in the era of Greek dictatorship. Thank you. Keep those comments coming, and I'll read some of them as we go along. Mujib, good morning. Wonderful
morning,
to see
brother.
you. It's been quite a while.
It's been, and you know the reason. So I'm writing the exam, so that's why I have to go out of the system for a while. But thank you, Sena, for the opportunity, and thank you to your viewers across the world. Sena, on the issue of this U.S. report on human rights infractions and other abuses in Ghana, just look at the report 2021, and you can understand that people will run with it. And I am not surprised this morning. My sweet sister is like, want to use the whole time to run, even digress to where the topic has not captured, but she decided to move on that tangent. But that is their right to do. But the reality on the matter, this is not the first time U.S. State Department releasing such a report. And it is true that we equally as a country have an institutions that can conduct and come out with such a report. But I will not encourage that we should be rubbishing the report. But Sena, I will also ask whether we have come out to tell the people of Ghana that everything is 100% in this country. To the best of my knowledge, I think that government has not said that, and we haven't come out with any report to say everything is 100%, especially with regards to human rights issues, freedom of speech, and etc., etc. Just as it was not 100%, and they couldn't have been 100% when some President John Dramani Mahama was in government. And I am surprised to, like, when some of these issues crop up, that we have to put our political lenses and just confront the issue head on as patriotic citizens. I think that is the best way we move. But listening to my sister, I think that I was scratching my head. I said, oh, if I had known, I would have just listed the human rights violations and attacks on journalists, even in some cases at the seat of government, when President John Dramani Mahama was a president steering the affairs of the Republic of Ghana. So if I confront her and confront the NDC with it, what will be the answer? Did we go or did we come? But Sena, let's ask ourselves as a people. We want improvement on every sector of our society. Are we achieving it? She's a lawyer. I am studying to become a lawyer. But she knows even the rights that you have are not absolute. Your rights goes with responsibility. And I want to ask my sister whether because of fundamental human rights that is enshrined in the Constitution, I think chapter 5, you can just go out because that is what is there and say whatever you want to say and do whatever you want to do and go scot-free. No. If that were the situation, I wonder whether he would have been able to walk from her house to this very studio free without even verbal abuse by other people she met on the way. But that is the society we are living on. But that is not to justify that some of the issues that happen, for instance, with respect to the killing of Mohamed Kaka and the rest, trying to justify. But I don't also forget the fact that when these things are happening, the state apparatus are responsible investigating and coming out with the reports in respect of those. And remember, even in that particular incident, and this thing was constituted, and they have to look into the matter. Nobody, you take Ameswale there, and you know what the police has been telling us. Can you tell us that anybody decided to prevent the investigative body from doing their work and getting to the bottom of the matter and getting the perpetrators arrested? No. See, now, long before, I've been observing one angle that I don't know whether many people are also looking at it that way. So now, not even high-profile killings, but when you get even a normal armed robbery case, somebody, or murder case, then the state, the security, the police, for instance, are supposed to get into the bottom of the matter. I always complain that it will get to a point we, the public, will not be fed with the information that is coming from their investigation. So at the end of it, you are not know whether those responsible are being arrested and they are being taken through the law. You are not aware because you have not been fed with the reports or the information on their investigations. So, but if you go elsewhere, let me use America as an example. Even 10 years but they will come out with their findings of their investigations. Whether that is true or not, but the people of America must know. My bro, that is what we should be expecting from our agencies. Whether you are able to get to the bottom of the matter, A, B, C, D are responsible. We are still trying to arrest them, or we have arrested them. This is the situation we are. The people of Ghana must know. So, in recent times, I am happy that now issues like this and many more, the police tried hard to update the public, the people of Ghana, every step they take. And I think that is the best way to go. So when it's like that, people will not come and just say to deceive or just like try to feed the public with wrong information that this has happened and nothing has been done about it. Because if you know that because of this particular issue, it has been investigated, these are the reports is released, and this is what the perpetrators are going through, nobody will come and tell us that, oh, this happened and nobody has done anything about it, and then try to put it on government. Fine. There's more room for improvement, and that is what we are all hoping and then working towards. But Sena, let us also remind ourselves that we are responsible, and our conduct and everything should also respect the details of the Constitution. Sena, you are a journalist, and maybe when there's a program, you know the processes to go. You have to get your accreditation and everything, or you have to be invited before you get there to cover proceedings. And if we want some information, now we have the law, right to information. Every sector of government, you know what to do to access information from government. I hope you are getting the argument. But if you decide not to, also you yourself, who should have known better and follow the rules, you want to go against the rules. And now when you have been handled, then you come to sit on radio or TV and you are complaining that your human rights has been violated. And the avenues are there. We have the avenues. When your rights have been violated, she knows where you to go. You go to court. So basically, I don't see it as like we should be jumping because it's coming from the U.S. State Department and MPP is in government. That is why all these things are happening. And I was shocked that when my sister was talking, I asked myself whether she knows where she was coming from, how the NDC came to being. So if you know the history and you know the human rights violations, what people have gone through in those dark days and where we are now, and I think that we should not be talking the way we are talking, because we didn't get to where we are now, Sena, on a silver platter. And programs like this, I am always gratified that we have people like Uncle Kosi Pratt with us here, who understand those days, what this country was and what people went through in this country, and had to be in the gutters fighting for freedom and fighting to restore multi-party democracy in Ghana. Yes, we don't have it 100%, but we are trying and working hard as a state to get to the perfection. And it is the responsibility of all of us as citizens to get that. Why? So now we have human rights activists in this country. And what prevents them when they see that this thing is people's human rights have been violated? They can go to court and take the issue. People can take government on. We can all contribute if we think that this what is happening under this, or why should this thing be happening. We can take it to court and seek redress in the court. The media don't give redress. They don't address issues. You only go, you vent your anger. But the appropriate place when you see some of these things happen is you go to the law court. But I can understand because of where they are coming from, and they will always look for such opportunities to score political points. But that is notwithstanding. Since 1992 up to now, we have not gotten to the 100% stage. We are not in perfection. And MPP, we are working hard, but we have not yet there. But I don't think we have to say what the department has come out with and try to rubbish it. No, individually, you ask yourself, yeah, we are here. This is where we have gotten to. Okay, why can't we get there? Can't we get the 85 and 95? So if we get the 95, what is wrong with that? Then that is good. So let's work towards it. So I will not brush the report, and I will only encourage government and encourage the people of Ghana to take their report seriously, and then we'll try to work with it and improve. But to those saying that, why America has every right to poke their nose into our affairs, this is not the first time. Whether and when I'm asked a question, we have always been relying on America for, to a larger extent, support and other loans and etc., etc. And it didn't start today. So, and this is not the first time America is poking their nose into the affairs of Ghana. Has that violated any international convention? No. So, for us, and as far as I know, Ghana and America have enjoyed a very good relationship between the two countries for a very long time, and will continue to enjoy it. But that notwithstanding, you know who they are. If they see that you can improve, this thing is going wrong, America will say it. Not only Ghana, any other country, America will do it. So people can just say what they want to say. That is their opinion. But on a very serious matter, I think that we ourselves as a people need to improve on our sectors. If we improve, we get the benefit of it. If the courts are very active and they are dispensing justice rightly, it is the enjoyment of the people of Ghana. If the security is proactive, even sometimes preventive, it is the enjoyment of the people of Ghana. And I know that government has not been reluctant in terms of providing materials and logistics to the security agencies for them to do their right thing in terms of protection the people of Ghana. At every stage, the military, the police, the immigration, the fire service, so now you know, every now and then, government try to procure logistics for them to further, for them to improve their operations. That is true. So that is the point government comes in. But the practical aspect of it, or the job investigations, also required the professionals of the security forces to serve the people that they have swore to serve. That is it. So we should hold people responsible and hold them in a very high distance standards. And I think that is the only best way we can get it, Sena. But I think I always pray for patriotism. The time to do politics is there, and the time to hold people who are reneging on their responsibility, who have vowed to serve the people of Ghana, is there. But at every stage in Ghana, even when election ends today, the next day, politics started. If you give the people the opportunity, what they didn't do yesterday is what they'll be telling us that today, if they had gotten the opportunity, they will do it. But I will pray that at the end of it all, we will get it 90-95% when it comes to human rights issues and freedoms in this country. And to journalists, I know that, Sena, if you do responsible journalism, you will not have any issue with anybody in this country. Because when you also defame or you public falsehood, it is the right of the other person, that the affected person, to also seek redress. So now when you sit behind your console and then you just try to spew whatever you want to spew, no, that is not the society we are. That is why we call it responsible journalism. You must cross-check your facts and investigate and know the facts and know that you can substantiate what you are putting out there, because you wouldn't want to defame or just slander anybody. So I think that is the situation. But if you want to pick and choose and look at it in a different angle, that is your opinion. But I know that the discerning viewer will always try to sieve the facts from the wrong. So basically, that is it. But from where I sit and my opinions, and I think as a country, I wouldn't want to just limit it. I wouldn't want, but we have done well. But compare other countries. You can't get it. Even you see people have been molested and beaten on the street and nothing happened. In Ghana, you can't get it. You can't get that. So maybe few occasions there are excesses and there are slippages, and then we need to also say it. But I think by and large, as a country, I think we have come a long way. We have come a long way.
Thank you. Let me go through some of our affiliates this morning. Good morning, and a big thank you to Volta One TV. The other television station we are live on is in Ho, so I'm sure a lot of people are watching us in Ho. To Volta One TV, We are on Global FM 105.1. They are the sister station, the radio station side of Volta 1 TV. They are also in Hope. And a very big thank you to Cape FM in Cape Coast in the central region. They are on 93.3 FM. There's also Benya FM in Elmina. They are on 105.7 FM. There's Radio Kitao in Saboba on 95.7. There's Bewa Radio in Yende. They are on 106.5. There's Diamond FM in Tamale. You can get them on 93.7. Diamond FM has been one of our longest affiliates on the program Alhaji and Alhaji. Sela Radio in Dabala on 97.1. There's also Niwasi Radio in Ketekracha on 89.7. Hills FM in Adakulu on 91.7. And Shine FM in Akachi on 96.9. So those are the affiliates that are currently broadcasting us. If you are in the Greater Accra region, we are live on Radio Gold 90.5 FM and on Ahunto 92.3 FM. Papa Ike says a good morning to us. Says the punishment we are going through from Akufo-Addo as Ghanaians stem way back as a result of the hatred and dislike Akufo-Addo and some members of the NPP has for the former President J.J. Rawlings and his party, the NDC. Don't forget that the NDC is made up of Ghanaians from all tribes in Ghana, unlike the NPP who are made up of a particular group of people. The problem we are going through was planned way back from 2008 just to punish Ghanaians. A good morning to Niaya, who says you can deceive some Ghanaians always, but you can't deceive the world. Prince Tanko Kalahamsa says, who is watching us live from Gambaga in the northeast region, it's clear that this MPP has absolutely nothing to offer the good people of the country. And when I hear them talking about breaking the 8 and others, I see it as bogus. Solomon Ashi says, Sena, did President Akufo-Addo not tell the chief from Central Region who visited in the castle that the Kumfi Sugar Factory will be open in April this year? Today is April 30th. He hasn't ended yet. Kodjo Nkrumah says, okay, there's Kobla Kudoto, who says, even with a written constitution, Nana-Addo is ruling with such impunity. Imagine Nana in charge during the military period of SMC 1 and 2 or AFRC. And he sends congratulations to James Nombo and the team at the power station. And that's from Egypt, actually. Egypt, Kobla Kudoto. Good morning to you. There's Eric Okusafanu, who says, Sena, Mujib should not obfuscate the facts, which a reality check that Nana Akufo-Addo's government curtailed freedom of dissent, expression, political murders, and tolerated corruption at its best as part of their state capture strategy. Mujib at least should show remorse and respect our intelligence. Those are some of the messages you're sending to us. Thank you. And let me welcome Kodjo Chumbo and say a good morning to you.
Comment on this topic. They came late.
It's very refreshing to sit here knowing after all that you that station. The station that makes so many of these journalists who are broadcasting today. You are back on air and you are broadcasting this show. Congratulations to beautiful people at home, and especially those who decided to stay through the journey.
We have to do a quick check on sound. We'll be right back. Give us a moment.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and
Trasacco Estates, home to Accra's most beautiful and luxurious homes, presents its newest addition, Trasacco Springs, a premium master planned community of service plots surrounded by an exhaustive list of amenities. The gated community of Tema to Accra Motorway presents you the finest opportunity to own a land that suits your preferred size, budget, and payment terms. Trasaco Springs is open to you for development. Our on-site sales executives are ready. Call on 055 659 2658.
Hello, information.
But ask.
Me, I have still not got the money for that list of expensive building materials you sent to me. The price of the iron rods have been increased too much, hadn't they?
Madam, relax. Look, that's not why I even called. I just visited IPCP, where the engineers told me everything about Trasaco fast floor.
Trawanko, please, those people are expensive. Are they not the people building those big houses in town? I beg going to guy.
Madam, in fact, I used to think the same until I visited their office today, and they gave me an estimate of how much it will cost. Nombo, the estimate is free. It's cheaper than the one I even sent you.
Wow.
Building contractors, foremen, masons. Visit IPCP, the Trasaco Fast Floor. Engineers will assist you build an affordable, faster, and stronger building.
Oh, madam. It is done.
Wow.
Trasaco Fast Floor. Stronger, faster, and affordable.
This is a Trasaco construction product.
Hello? Oh, Sena sound. Okay, wait a minute. Why? My wife comes and send a message. Hello? What's happened?
It's a chunk who's will be a quiet say what? A dear sir.
Besides, friend, I'm so near you. No, I've not tested messages here. And our office also. I'm trying to tell you, man. She says, I
mean, so we a guy man and may young who could look cry. And also wants a family drilling company limited for Kana.
What's it then? Family Drilling Company Limited.
Ye two borehole, biofuel, biogas, swimming pool, plumbing works in Naso, ye be Frey 0240 333 111 and NASA 0244 144 822.
Miampa and net. You want swimming pool on me fee? Me want to will be BA. Family drilling now. Family drilling. Me out with that.
African Center for Capacity Building, AFCA, organizes the following executive and advanced certificate programs like Executive Certificate in Project Management, Executive Certificate in Human Resource Management, Executive Certificate in Real Estate and Property Management, Executive Certificate in Data and Records Keeping, Executive Certificate in Monitoring and Evaluation, Executive Certificate in Logistics and Transport Management, Executive Certificate in CCTV Monitoring and Installation. AFCA, where capacity building is our priority. For registration and enquiries, please call 0244 405047, 0242 135533. We have our branches in Accra, Tamale, Kumasi, and Wa. Saturdays and weekdays sessions are available.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer and has labored.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's always a privilege to be here, and this particular topic is a very interesting topic. As far as I am concerned, this report is an acknowledgement by the Western countries, especially the United States, and their acolytes, so to speak, of what this government that is currently ruling us or running the affairs of this country truly is. There's nothing in the report that surprised me as a person. But what gladdens my heart is that there's now an acknowledgement of some of the things we have been talking about, that this is what has been going on in this country. Let us not forget that in the preamble to the 2016 election, the lead opposition speaker against the John Mahama administration was the British High Commissioner, John Benjamin. I hope he has seen that report, and I hope he's going to tweet on the human rights abuses, the corruption, and other things in that report. You see, when you take the 34-page report and you just have a cursory glance to it, these are some of the headings that meet you. Arbitrary deprivation of life and other unlawful or politically motivated killings, disappearance, torture and other cruel, inhuman or degrading treatment, punishment, prison and detention center conditions. Some of the sub-headlines that you will find: arbitrary arrest or detention, arrest procedures and treatment of detainees, denial of fair public trial, political prisoners and detainees, civil and judicial procedures and remedies, arbitrary or unlawful interference with privacy, family, home or correspondence, lack of respect for civil liberties, freedom of expression including for members of press and other media curtailed, violence and harassment, censorship or content restrictions, freedoms of peaceful assembly and association. I mean, it's the list is endless, and I'll be boring. I'm not reading it. I'm just going through the headlines. If I want to read it, that's my piece. Please sit down and listen. Take it nicely. You see, there are some people, like Mujib sitting here, doesn't want me to read the report because he doesn't want it to be known. He wants us to have an omnibus conversation now that their citizenship has shown up. Now their public patriotism has shown up. And then you have certain people, for the benefit of the listeners of this show, who may not know some of their antecedents. People like Dr. Kwesi Eni, who claims that we can write reports about the United States and atrocities, and so they should be treated with contempt. Which part of the report is untrue, Dr. Kwesi Jonah? So, Dr. Kwesi Eni, sorry. Which part of it is untrue? The fact that you can write about the American Civil War, you can write about the Jim Crow, you can write about the U.S.-Mexico wars, you can write about Abu Ghraib, you can write about anything. Is the report false? So let me give you a small history into who Dr. Kwesi Eni is. And this is contained in the WikiLeaks report. Eni began the conversation by admitting that he is affiliated with the MPP. Listen, Eni began the conversation by admitting that he is affiliated with the MPP. that he is in fact an advisor to Akufo-Addo, whose record on human rights in Ghana he admires, and that the glasses he wears are as a result of beatings received during the years of the Rawlings military regime. Despite his MPP leanings, he said he has been disillusioned by the party's corruption, in particular the involvement of members of the current government in the growing drug trafficking trade in Ghana. He claimed that the drug trade, if not brought under control in the next 5 years, threatens to destabilize Ghana. Dr. Kwesieni, that is all I will say for now. Your page on WikiLeaks, we will discuss it copiously. So he is not a fair commentator in this matter. The WikiLeaks report, and it's a public document. It's in the U.S. Public Library. If you read it, just Google Kwesieni, WikiLeaks. You will see the things he has said. Which part of what they are saying is not true? The killings of journalists didn't happen. Ahmed Swale didn't die. Ahmed Swale was shot and killed broad daylight. As we speak today, nothing has happened. A member of parliament was not assaulted in broad daylight during a by-election. Do we not have copious videos of the atrocities that took place in Ayawaso West Wogon? And when a commission of inquiry made up of a former appeal court judge who was the head of charge, a former inspector general of police, a respected lawyer for that matter, and a current Supreme Court judge, former lecturer in law. The three of them sat down and wrote a report and recommended prosecution and dismissals. The government responded by writing a white paper that they disagree with them. If an atrocity happens that we saw in broad daylight, and you ask Patrick Achampo, IGP Patrick Achampo, Madam Mensa Bonsu, and Emil Short to investigate it, and they write a report and write a recommendation. Who are you to come and tell us that what they wrote was bullshit? Pardon my French, and that you disagree? Why? They didn't interview Double, who admitted that after 3 weeks of transition from phone repairer to jungle warfare school, he now qualified to mount a police SWAT vehicle and assault a sitting MP. So what about this report makes it false, Dr. Kwesieni? What about this report makes it false? You were not in this country when the drug killings happened. When another commission of inquiry was launched into it, what has come of it? As for that commission of inquiry, even the people who were appointed to sit in the on the committee were intimidating witnesses. So what about this report is untrue? Which part of it is untrue? What have they said? What have the Americans said that we don't know already? Why? Is it the corruption part? Is that what we don't know? Is that what we don't know? We live in a country where today corruption is part of the order of the day. And when the people are caught, the government absolutely does nothing. The reason why they do nothing is because the people who are most of the time interspersed and immersed in the corruption activities are his relatives. Let's begin with PDS. they attempted to sell the state electricity company to themselves. Right? They were caught, and we have a voice of the president's first cousin distributing shares in PDS. The finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, wrote a letter to the CID. He wrote a letter. The letter is public, that there was corruption going on, and that the person who came and bought ECG came with a fake bank guarantee. The bank, the Qatari bank, has admitted as much, that they don't know anything about the guarantee. As we speak today, the CID has done nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing has never been mentioned. We heard the voice of the president's first cousin. We heard it. He was naming names. And on that call, apparently, were people including the president's brother. In this country today, independent power producers have been told to buy fuel for their power plants from a company that was registered in 2017, which belongs to an in-law of the president's brother. The company is called Stratcom. So they are paid, forcibly paid from the finance ministry for fuel that goes to the independent power producers. And then the vice finance minister pays them and lists it as part of excess capacity, until he was challenged by John Jinapor, the Honorable John Jinapor. Over the years, subsequent years, go and find out how much money has been paid to that company. Listen again. Independent power producers were coerced to buy fuel from a certain company called Stratcom. That company was registered in 2017, and it belongs to an in-law of the president's brother. If you are an independent power producer, your biggest cost element is your fuel. Why does the government need to legislate? Well, not legislate. Why do you need to be ordered by fiat to go and buy fuel from an in-law of the president? Why do you need to do that? So which part of this report is a lie? Which part of it is a lie? We are in this country when a minister of state, the deputy sports minister, carried people to Australia. And I'm not saying it. The Australian embassy, the Australian High Commission, said about 65 people, was it 65 people, appeared in Australia under the guise of coming to cover an event in which Ghana itself had only 9 athletes. 65 journalists showed up in Australia, so they were deported. And when they got here, Sena, this is the kicker. The Minister of Sports fingered his deputy, Pius Hajide. He said he's the one who did it. So Pius Hajide was suspended. And in something that the heavenly angels will even admire, Angel Gabriel will admire, suddenly, a day before the president visited the Volta region, Pius Hajide was cleared. The CID had apparently cleared him, which report we have never seen. So which part of this report is a lie? Which part is a lie? Dr. Kwesieni, which part of this report is a lie? Sena, this is a country where the president is able to appoint his first cousin as a deputy finance minister, right? Son of Edubuahini. Sorry, his first cousin as a finance minister. Son of Professor Edubuahini as the deputy finance minister. So you know what they do? Between them, they have borrowed over 280 billion cedis on our behalf. And it is their personal companies that are the book runners and so-called bond specialists for that particular, for the loans that they have taken on our behalf. So among the two of them, between the two of them, they have made over $200 million in commissions. Which part of this report is untrue? In which country does the state borrow money? Money that is borrowed by the first cousin of the president. Listen, no. And then that same first cousin of the president and his deputy, who also happens to be the son of a former flag bearer of the ruling party, make commissions of the loan. Which part of the report is a lie? Which part? When you confront them, they say, oh, but that is what he used to do. Now they have divested shares in those companies, so they are no more an active part. Are you not still the beneficial owner? And when you finish your term as finance minister and deputy finance minister, will your family disavow you? Will you no more be who you are? Will you change your name? Are you going to file an affidavit to change your name and disavow the money that has been accrued from your corrupt practices? Sena, the NPP's corruption does not even spare mental patients and children. Even lunatics are not spared the corruption of the NPP. As we speak today, they have a new scam. They are trying to steal mental hospital. So they have come up with this concept. All of a sudden, mental hospital, Accra Psychiatric Hospital has been added to Agenda 111. Go and look at the definition of Agenda 111 as amplified by the president. It was 111 new hospitals. Now they are saying that they are going to the real estate people who are mysterious that we don't know are going to build a 200-bed hospital in the same plot that mental hospital sits, and the rest of the land they should do a PPP. You see, this is soft speak for they are stealing the land. Then go and find out who the board chair of Accra Psychiatric Hospital is. I won't mention the person's name. Go and find out. So, Dr. Kwesieni, which part of this report is a lie? The children's park that was named AC Sutherland Ade Park. Go there right now, there are langas there. They are stealing that one too. In this Accra here, green areas are few and hard to find. When you are planning a city proper, especially in this day of global warming, green areas are very, very, very important. So that some of the carbon dioxide that we produce from our exhaust and other carbon monoxide can be absorbed by greenery. They are stealing that one too. So which part of the report is a lie? Dr. Kwesieni, MPP activist, which part of that report is a lie. They have absolutely no compunction about what they do. President Mahama was accused of friends and family because he had one distant relative, Madam Joyce Bauer, as the deputy minister. The executive secretary of the president is his first cousin. The transport minister is his first cousin. The finance minister is his first cousin. He has other relationships with other people on the cabinet whose names I will not mention.
The transport of the roads minister.
Roads minister, sorry. Roads minister, sorry. Yeah. Transport minister is my own friend Kwekwesi Ama. Roads minister is his first cousin. As we speak today, he has appointed another first cousin to become the chief executive of GMPC. This person, as touted by Asase Radio, was the deputy CEO of GMPC for a short time, technical. Meanwhile, he doesn't have any degree in engineering of any sort or any of the geotechnical sciences like geology that makes you able to preside over technical aspects of GMPC's operations. And yet he was there. Now he's the CEO. This is the same GMPC that last year, I'm not saying it, according to the reports that we have, spent a whopping 200 million cedis in corporate social responsibility. That's the new scam. Corporate social responsibility. Some of the corporate social responsibility funds went into tree planting at a location that I will not disclose for now. But let us just hope that when proper accounting is demanded of GMPC, there's a forest where that tree planting is supposed to be. Nothing short of a moist, semi-deciduous forest is acceptable for the monies you have spent attempting to plant trees, wherever you took the tree planting exercise to. And let us just remember that Mr. Chachuchi Kata was jailed for supposedly engaging in acts that had nothing to do with GMPC's core mandate. GMPC could not own shares in a salt mining activity, but they can plant trees. If you do what? Sena, in this country today, this woman, Madam Evelyn Edu, aka Sewabroni, has alleged that the president of this country staged an armed robbery on her person, ostensibly to recover a phone that had incriminating pictures and videos of whatever activities they were supposed to have indulged in. Whilst whatever they did as two adults, and she has given graphic details, lewd, lascivious details of what went on, whilst what happens between two adults is up to them and it's not up to me, the use of state actors in alleged armed robberies should alarm all of us. I haven't heard Mr. IGP launch a full-scale investigation. My brother Mujib rightly was talking about state agencies needing to up their game. We have heard voices of senior policemen and women involved in certain criminal activities, at least having part of what went on. We have heard the tape. There has been no investigation. The Attorney General has not been interested. And yet, Ato Forcing is being prosecuted for okaying an LC that had already been a business that had already been done by the Ministry of Health. In this country today, every attempt to decimate the numbers of the NDC parliamentary party is being done. Look at what happened to James Achikweshu. I call it an injustice. And I call it an injustice because the courts have traditionally frowned on a lack of representation of the people at any point in time. And so the courts, in a case that the NDC brought against Martin J. Mensah Kosa in Techiman South, the court said the substantive case is being heard, so we will not deprive, will not injunct the MP from being representing the people. Somehow or the other, in the case of James Kwesi, he has been injuncted from doing the same thing that the courts frowned upon in the Martin Mensah Kosa case. And the person who wrote the majority opinion was the lawyer for Adamu Sakande, who presided over the seat, Boku seat, with his British passport and his Burkina Faso passport. At that time, the widely held opinion since the days of the Rebecca Adote case to today was that if a case is filed against an MP, yes, let the case go ahead, but let the people not be denied of representation. In this case, somehow or the other, the courts have gone back on their own tradition. And it's difficult to understand. So when the Americans talk about iffy jurisprudence in this country, which part of it is untrue? There are several cases that you can cite that are the case of Hohoi. As we speak today, since what? 2020, the people of South don't have representation. They have been told that if you like, go and join another constituency because your region has been divided. And for many watchers of the political space, it was designed so that a certain person becomes an MP. Right? So what is it that they are saying that is not true? And then there's Kweku Baku. Kweku Baku, respected senior journalist, who claims that they are involved in cut and paste. Cut and paste, so what, Kweku? Don't you cut and paste all the time? You're always referring to Hansard. Hansard is what? What is cut and paste? Since when was cut and paste not part of the computer? They are cutting and pasting what? Cutting and pasting the truth? Is it the truth that you don't like? And do you people want to defend Akufo-Addo's government even in the face of overwhelming evidence? Did 9 people not die in the last election? Didn't we see pictures of people who were shot with their entrails hanging out? Did they not die? Did Abbas Idrisu not die? Did that 14-year-old girl not die? Is it not against the backdrop of a president who said, even if a chicken blood is spilled, he will not be president? 9 people have died, Mr. President. Why are you still there? And you are saying what? It's not true? Cut and paste is not true? Are we not in a country where the president imposes a tax on us by any means necessary, including bringing an ambulance, an empty ambulance, to intimidate people? And then the day after, he sits on his favorite airplane. In fact, this time he met it in Washington, took it back to the UK, and went to dwell in the most expensive hotel room in Mayfair, the Prince Alexander Suite. Did we not see it? Did we not see that our president involves himself or indulges in luxury at our expense, staying in hotel rooms that are over 100,000 cedis every single day? Haven't we seen it? Did we not see him sitting copious amounts of times on an aircraft that costs us 5 million cedis every time he takes on a trip and come back? And when Okujeto said it, consistently said it, and wanted answers in parliament, to date it has been almost 1.5 years. Okujeto has not been answered.
You might have to land for me.
I'm about to land. My wheels are up. Don't worry. In this country today, corruption, bedlam, lack of respect for the human rights of citizens is what is it is the order of the day. So let nobody who wants to engage in the defense of this government sit here and tell us that what we have known over the last 5 years is not true. Which part of what they are saying is not? Are we not in debt to our eyeballs? Don't we collateralize statutory funds and use it to pay interest? We don't do it. Which part of what they are saying is not true? Sena, I've landed for now, but this topic is a PhD topic. It's a topic in which, if you allow me, I will get a PhD by the end of this program. Which part of what they are saying is not true? Wait, we will come back.
Thank you. When you mentioned Mr. Dr. Kwesi Enin's name, I did a Google, and this is what he said. This is a quote of what he said to TV3. It says, "This report to me is rubbish, and I think it should be treated with the contempt that it deserves. After almost 62 years of independence, we can write our own report. We have a vibrant civil society. We have parliament irrespective of its problems or weaknesses. We have a judiciary that we can criticize. A Home Minister made suggestions about how judicial decisions can lead to certain problems. We don't need the State Department to tell us what we are doing, to tell what we are doing right or wrong. So I think we should dismiss this report with the contempt that it deserves. I think after all these years of independence, we should be bold and tell them this is not right." That is a quote directly from Mr. Dr. Kwesi Enin's mouth. This is from Komlagenya, who says Mujib should be reminded that he can decide to defend the wrong things today because he hasn't gotten to his doorsteps. We are supposed to be moving forward, but they decided to draw us back by their usually overused tactics of mentioning Mahama's name to equalize. The fact is 9 people were killed in last elections for NPP to win power, which never happened in our history. Baba Musa is also joining us. Baba Musa says it's sad listening to Mujib Rahman desperately attempting to normalize the serious human rights violations cited by the US State Department about Kufuor's government in 2021. So Mujib Rahman is trying to rationalize the killings of Tajuddin Al-Hassan, Abdallah Ayarik, and many others who were named at the Chiman in 2020 elections because they insisted that the right things be done. And how is it that the Kufuor has continuously avoided talking about those 8 people who were killed by the security forces? Look at the 2 imposter security guys who were arrested at the MPP constituency elections 2 days ago in Accra. Just last week, reports were that 93 MPP party members believed to be protocol lists were allegedly smuggled into the ongoing training of police cadets, which commenced in April 2022. Guess what? These people will be out in 6 months' time as assistant superintendents of police, in addition to the law course. Virtually every single security institution has been packed with MPP vigilantes. We are heading for doom as a country. That's coming from Baba Musa. And Jerry J says, "You will be surprised to know this same United States report Mujib and his MPP are trying very hard to make nonsense of today. They will gleefully embrace same reports some few years ago when light was thrown on some of the happenings under previous administration. In any case, which of the United state report making rounds about Ghana today is not true in Akufo-Addo's failed state. They should keep their mouth shut and provide us with better governance. Send that from Tema Community Level. Mr. Pratt.
I need to start by making the point that I offer no defense for the current administration. I offer no defense for the current administration. But that does not mean that we do not have an obligation to look at the credentials of those who authored this report. The maxim in law is simple. Those who seek equity ought to come with clean hands. And in this particular case, I am more than convinced that the U.S. administration does not have clean hands. In fact, the U.S. is stopped from making any comments about human rights violations anywhere in the world, not just Ghana. Because the record of the United States of America stinks. This is a government which has assassins going around the world assassinating world leaders. How dare it talk about human rights violations? This is a government which clearly sponsored the overthrow of Nkrumah in Ghana on February 24, 1966. What violation of the rights of people can be more egregious than what they did in Ghana on February 24, 1966? This is a government which killed Salvador Allende of Chile, a democratically elected president. This is a government which was involved in the murder of Brother al-Gaddafi and so on. Look around the world. Look at the mayhem. You go to Cuba, and the blockade which has been imposed on Cuba by the United States of America continuously violates the right of the Cuban people to have access to medical care and so on. Look at the numbers of people who have been killed in Iraq as a direct result of the U.S. invasion of Iraq on a false pretext. Should I continue? And this is the government which is complaining about human rights violations and so on. It has no right, no moral authority to be complaining about human rights violations anywhere in the world. Now, having said this, I think it's important also to look at the facts with regard to Ghana. I mean, the fact that the U.S. has no moral authority and so on does not stop us from examining the state of rights in Ghana. It does not stop us from evaluating allegations of violations in Ghana. So we need to do that. And I agree with some of the comments which have been made, that if we're going to have an evaluation of the human rights situation in Ghana, Ghana and Ghanaians are capable of doing their own human rights evaluation. And for me, I will put premium on an evaluation which is honestly done by the Ghanaian people and their own institutions. Sena, only 2 days ago, the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, made a nationwide broadcast, radio and television broadcast. I didn't have the time to listen to it live, but subsequently I've read what he said. Sena, I've been struggling to find out why the President did that broadcast. What was it about? 2 days ago was not Constitutional Day, the day he himself has instituted. So why make a broadcast to the nation in which he's talking about the importance of the 1992 Constitution and how we should avoid coup d'etats and how this Constitution or constitutional rule is better than nothing and so on. And in trying to find out why the president made that broadcast, somehow I was tempted to think that it may have been a direct response to this report we are discussing. I was tempted to think also that there may be some fear running down the spine of his administration about the possibility of a coup d'etat. Whatever it is, that broadcast could not and did not address the violations which have been raised in the U.S. State Department report on human rights in Ghana. Whatever the reason may have been, I don't think that speech is what will prevent coup d'etats in Ghana. It wouldn't. Yesterday, I said elsewhere that any violation of the 1992 Constitution brings us closer to a coup d'etat. Any violation. Any act of arbitrariness, any act of impunity brings us closer to a coup d'etat. I said yesterday that if we are genuinely and truly opposed to coup d'etats and so on, then the naming of national monuments and so on becomes important in this discussion. How do you maintain Kotoka International Airport over all these years and still insist that you're opposed to coup d'etats? How? How can you name your most important airport after a coup maker? Indeed, for most people who enter Ghana, they come through the Kotoka International Airport and say that it is bad to state coup d'etats. If it is bad to state coup d'etats, why do you honor coup makers? So, I can't believe it. So, if you honor Kotoka by naming the airport after him, no broadcast to the nation, can devalue coup d'etats and so on. And I think that's important for this administration to think through some of the things. Like my brother and friend Chumbuafu, I'm struggling to find out what in this report may not be true. I'm just struggling. Why? Have we not in the last few years blatantly violated and abused the 1992 Constitution, haven't we? Have we not arrested people just because of what they say and put them in detention beyond the 48-hour limit that the Constitution sets? Have we not done that? As far as I'm concerned, everything in that report is true. I haven't seen anything in that report which is false. One of our senior retired judges responded to this report, and he said the report has been exaggerated. The portions of the judiciary have been exaggerated. Let's say that they have been exaggerated. Now, if you say that they have been exaggerated, it means that there is some truth in it. Except that the truth, perhaps, has been over-amplified. But the truth still is there. You know, I sit back sometimes and I just wonder, is it possible? Is it possible? Just possible. Is it possible that the cases will go before the courts? Is it just possible that government every time gets it right and the opposition every time gets it wrong? Is it just possible that the people in opposition are so daft when it comes to the application of the law that all the cases over the last 5-6 years they've sent to court are frivolous and, as the lawyers sometimes say, vexatious? I'm just wondering. You see, if we come to discuss the law in this country, one of the things you cannot run away from is that many, if not most of the people on the bench were students of Mr. Chachuchikata. He taught them the law. Okay? Now, it does not mean that they will remain his students forever. But at least it says something, it speaks volumes about Mr. Chikata's grasp of the law. How come that over the last 5-6 years, all his cases, especially in the apex courts, have been thrown out? And they've been thrown out by unanimous decisions. I'm just a lay person. I didn't go to law school like my sister here. And at my age, I don't think that I will ever dream of going to law school. But as a lay person, I'm sitting back and just wondering. And in fact, the experts on law themselves tell you that if the law is properly interpreted, it must make sense to the lay person. I'm a lay person, and it's not making sense to me. And I'm beginning to feel that maybe, just maybe, Mr. Albert Kandapa had a point when he spoke to the judiciary. Just maybe, he had a point when he spoke to the judiciary. You see, we will come to that. We are not there yet. But it is important to notice that today, in the elections, internal elections of the new patriotic party, people are drawing cutlasses, cudgels, knives, and so on. Even election at the polling station level. Where is the commitment to human rights? I mean, I'm sure that all of you have seen the video of what happened in Sisala West. This could not have happened, or perhaps this did not happen, under Papa Doc, who employed the Tonton Makuls to wreak violence on any and everything. I mean, that they're actually slashing somebody with cutlasses. And people are holding cameras and videoing it and so on. Just like a movie out of hell. Couldn't believe it. So how can anybody be talking about the rights of citizens now? How can anybody be talking about the rights of citizens now? We go for general elections, and innocent people are slaughtered. They're slaughtered. For what reason? Innocent people. Innocent people who are not even throwing stones are slaughtered in a general election. What does that say about the human rights situation in the country? You're talking about the rights of citizens and so on. Let's talk about social rights. How come that 6,000 students in the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology are ordered to truncate their courses because they don't have money to pay school fees? And here I'm talking about social and economic rights and so on. How come? How come? How is that possible? You see, the US has many problems when it comes to human rights. So many problems. If you see the discrimination against some races, and I'm not only referring to the black race, some races in the United States, it is shocking. I mean, I had my first shock in 1976 when I went on a tour of the United States of America. And I went to Florida. And I was taken to a place called Miccosukee. Sena, I couldn't sleep that day. I couldn't eat. Because what I saw was so shocking. I was taken to an Indian, what they called an Indian reservation. Okay? And in this Indian reservation, you see Indians living in what they call their natural habitat, Indians. And there's a wall around them, and you pay money to go and see Indians. I mean, just like a zoo. Just like a zoo. I was so shocked, and I think that the Indian reservations are still there. Human beings are kept in zoos. You pay to go and watch them in their natural habitat. How can a country like this one dare to talk about human rights? How can a country like this one dare to talk about human rights? Unbelievable. But that's the United States of America, for you. Look at what has happened on the Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. People who have been arrested, who have been in prison without charge or trial for decades, and so on. The United States of America dares to write and talk about human rights in Ghana or anywhere? I wonder. And only recently, the US actually led a charge to remove Russia from the Human Rights Council. The US! Hey, the US led the charge to remove Russia from the Human Rights Council on the basis of so-called atrocities committed in the Ukraine war and so on. So, to some extent, I agree with all of the commentators who are saying that, look, let the US write its own report about itself, and let us write our own reports about ourselves. And that the US has no credibility whatsoever to be talking about human rights issues in Ghana. That, however, does not prevent us and should not prevent us from looking at our situation and finding ways to improve the conditions of the Ghanaian people when it comes to the enjoyment of rights. And when it comes to the enjoyment of rights, I insist on the enjoyment of all the rights. Political rights, social and economic rights, indeed all the rights ought to be respected. I am very, very deeply worried by some of the practices in Ghana today. I am so deeply worried. We are told that we should respect the Constitution. We are told that we should not encourage coup d'etats and so on. And yet some of the actors in government behave like cool leaders. They behave just like cool leaders. The Constitution says that don't arrest people and detain them beyond 48 hours. They arrest people, detain them for 3 days, and say that they were arrested at weekends. Who says that the Constitution was counting weekends? And the people are taken to court. And our judiciary says that, oh, we don't have, jurisdiction. And they remain in detention. Even after they have been taken to court, they remain in detention. Can you imagine people who do this to fellow citizens in a civilian constitutional dispensation? Can you imagine what they would have done if they were working for the PNDC or the NRC or the NLC? Can you imagine what they would have done? Even in this dispensation, look at how they behave. Unbelievable. Look at how they behave. And look at the assistance they are getting from the judiciary to perpetrate these heinous crimes against the population. I'm worried. And I think that every Ghanaian ought to be worried. I am very seriously worried. You understand? Why? We are in a democratic civilian dispensation. Agreed. Constitutional rule. We have a parliament. Today, as we sit in this studio, why? As Kodochumbuafu said, the people of South have no representation in parliament, and we don't seem to care. They haven't had representation in parliament for 2 years. We don't care. Last week or 2 weeks ago, another constituency was denied representation in parliament. Another people in another constituency were clearly denied representation in parliament. So where is the rule of law? Where is the so-called representative democracy that we are supposed to be practicing and so on? I'm very deeply worried by the situation in which we find ourselves. You see, if you talk about unsolved murders, we are told that unsolved murders happen everywhere in the world, and that Ghana is not peculiar and so on. Okay, we agree. But everywhere in the world where cases of murder are unsolved, they are seen as an aberration and a deformity. So the fact that there are unsolved murders all everywhere in the world does not justify unsolved murders in our country. I'm sitting here, and I'm looking back, and I'm reminded of the murder of Ahmed Swari. Ahmed Swari was not just an ordinary Ghanaian citizen and so on. This is a high-profile citizen working closely with Anas Arimuyao Anas. Perhaps Anas Arimuyao Anas is the highest profiled investigative journalist in Ghana. His associate, his assistant, is murdered, is shot by gangsters on motorbike, and up to today, there's no clue about who murdered Ahmed Swari. How can you be comfortable? How can the ordinary worker in the ministry, whose profile is not as high as Ahmed Swari, feel comfortable? How can the villager in where? Anywhere. Get some reassurance that if he or her life is violated with impunity, there will be justice. How can we? The case of Ahmed Swari is a huge blot on our conscience, collective conscience, and it must be a huge blot on the human rights record of this administration. It must be a huge blot on the performance of our security services and so on. It's a worry. Why? The report discusses the security services. One of the things which has been most shocking as far as I'm concerned is the disclosure. The disclosure, not by me, not by any of us here, by the police service itself, that a gang of robbers actually managed to infiltrate the police. They sent their members as recruits into the police service. They went into the police academy, came out, one of them with distinction, and started organizing the bullion van attacks. Are you not frightened? Master, are you not frightened? That a gang of robbers, hey, Master, what is this? So, where are the checks? How did this gang of robbers manage to infiltrate the police service, secure police training for its members, got them actually, I think one of them or so, into the SWAT team? The elite service, they got them there. And they started organizing the bullion van robberies. You see, we've been talking about this system where political parties, when they are in power, are able to fill the security services with their supporters and members and so on. I want to believe that it is through this system that the gang of robbers managed to infiltrate the police service. Today, we don't know. But isn't it just possible that some other guys could have infiltrated other services, including the armed forces? Isn't it just possible? Because we've had the case of a guy who said he was a phone repairer at Kwame Nkrumah Circle, and was told that there was some recruitment into national security which had not been advertised. He managed to enter there, and you see what role he's playing today. You know, what we are heading to is very dangerous. Mujib, what we are heading to is very dangerous. If we don't stop now, very soon, you are going to have a situation where in the Ghana Armed Forces, there will be easily and openly identifiable MPP soldiers and NDC soldiers. I bet my bottom peswa, if you haven't gotten there, you are getting there. Can you imagine the implications for national security? Can you imagine the implications for national security? These party leaders and so on, they are not doing themselves any favor. So they are sowing the seeds of Armageddon today. And when the Armageddon erupts, it will carry them into the ocean like a tsunami. They better stop and think. They are destroying this country, and all of us will suffer the consequences of their extreme foolishness.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pratt. When we're talking about a village, I started smiling because I thought about mentioning a village around my area in Sugakope. Because you're looking for a village. So, but let me do a few messages from some of the people watching us on Facebook. Positive change is the press is accused of running an armed robbery. A president is accused of running an armed robbery gang, a murdering squad, and described as criminal by his side chick, Sewabroni, in a live video, which is unprecedented in our political history. Should the clergy, civil society, and security institutions watch unconcerned? There's also Kojofi Agbe, who says, Sena, I had a very long conversation with Russian-trained medical doctor yesterday. And at the tail end of our conversation, I asked him if Ghana will be better again. And before I finished the question, he answered, no. The two political parties are the same. Can't you see NDC knows the next election is guaranteed for them? So they are not even worried about election branch executives. So my question to the General Secretary of the party, Mr. Sena Nketia, and the chairman is, what is holding them back as opposition leaders to organize elections to elect new executives? There is also Sape Agbo, who says the constant mantra of the NPP urging people to go to court if their human rights were infringed is very disingenuous, as the biases and corruptions and dispensation of justice not highlighted first by the Minister of National Security and confirmed in the U.S. State Department's report. The judiciary in Ghana today is compromised and by far not the institution where anyone might go to seek redress against the state. There is also Prosper Mensah. Which of the reports? Okay, he's asking Dr. Kwesini, which of the report did you write? Moreover, did you write one? And we were told USA has already written one, so we will not read yours. There's Thomas Steele, who says the disastrous Nana Bawumia government, the NPP communicators and their soldiers can make noise about the USA report on Ghana, but the well-meaning Ghanaians know very well that is a true reflection of the reality. Kasume Amwa says, please tell those who are mute. Okay, I think I've read that a bit earlier. So those are some of the messages you're sending to us. We have to move on to the issue of the NPP elections. Of course, the proposal from Nana Akomia, no less a person, is that they should consider merging Dr. Bawumia and Mr. Kojo Alan Shemanting. And for some reason, I feel like starting with Kojo Chumbofu. So let me start with.
Strange reason.
Because I was even...
Well, you know, there's a maxim in politics about if your opponents are busy destroying themselves. I will not assume the competence to talk about the internal kerfuffle that is about to begin in the MPP if it hasn't begun already. But before I go there, I want to seek your indulgence. I want to offer a brief comment because my big brother and my mentor, Kwesi, Pratt, says something about recruitment of party oppressionists and apparatchiks into the security services. And I want to go back to the U.S. State report because they mentioned a specific case in which a journalist, Caleb Kuda, was assaulted by national security, taken to the offices of national security. Subsequently, national security stormed the offices of City FM and assaulted a female journalist called Zoe Bedu, a lady I happen to know. And Caleb Kuda was made to endure all kinds of things, including tribal and ethnocentric abuse. That he was even told that if it wasn't that you were speaking Chi, what we would have done to you. And subsequently, after the public outrage, one of the soldiers involved, we were told, has been removed from the national security. The next day, that soldier was given command of the most elite fighting force in the Ghana army. Uncle Gosi, during the time of President Mahama, do you people know the person who was in charge of police recruitment? It was David Asante Pietu. Former, let me call him MPP IGP, who was given control of our city by Dr. Baumia. He was given the keys after the CD depreciation was locked. He was subsequently sacked with 3 weeks to his retirement because he had dared to have Peter Lanchini Tobu as his secretary when he was IGP. David Asante Pietu was in charge of the police computer. So let me just, like I said earlier, what the NPP are doing to themselves right now, the reason why we should watch that space is that it's going to get worse. If you think that, if you can think that even at constituency level elections, they are pulling machetes, wait until the presidential primaries. You will see AK, you will see javelin, you will see missiles that were imported from Ukraine. You will see that. Because some people within the MPP have said that over their dead body, will Baumia lead their party. There's the tribal element, but there are some who have also said that the man has been so destroyed by the NDC that in a match between them, him and President Mahama, it will be a bloodbath. So they have decided to bring Alan. And I am telling you today that they are in the silent majority. They are in the silent majority. If you didn't think they were in the silent majority, why did my uncle Kodom Pieni come out and ask the question, why do you want to pay two people who both want to be president? I didn't say it, he said it. Of a Kodom Pieni Nekai. He said that because some people, including Nana Kumia, the venerable Nana Kumia, have said that let us spare Alan and Baumia, meaning that let Baumia be the top of the ticket and Alan agree to be vice president. But Alhaji Mate doesn't want to be vice president. He wants to be president. They are two different things. Being given, and as we have seen with this administration, everything that needs to be done that will bring ridicule and opprobrium, Baumia is the one who has to do it. Why would Alan want to take up that mantle? Why would he want to be the one to be ridiculed? Why would he want to be the one to go and stand and say, what a team? Why would he want to be the one to go and stand in Kaswa and do Cheche Kule, Che Kofi Salanga, Katachi Langa, then you hear the people say, Kum. Why would he want to do that? Why would he want to go and stand somewhere and say, Mofra, and the people will shout back, yes, anti crap, no one he yabon, tea no one he yanum, pan no one he easy. Why would he want to be the folklore? Why would he want to be the culture and the opinion of Ghana politics? Why do you want to be that? Haven't we seen Dr. Baumia telling lie upon ridiculous lie upon lie? Dr. Baumia lies more than, oh Jesus Christ. Why would Alan want to do that? He wants to be president. So, one of my favorite songs by the Isley Brothers says, if you think you are lonely now, wait until tonight. If you think that what is going on in Sisala West is bad, wait until the I said some of the missiles that have been sent to Ukraine will find their way to Accra. You watch and wait. Maybe.
Thank you. This is a reference to the Isley Brothers thing. Alassane Sena in Tema says President Akufo-Addo has lost focus and trust of citizens. Akufo-Addo must be shameful to the least to talk about celebration of the constitution. Has he forgotten when the Nombo Buzia group boycotted the same constitution he's talking about? His track record is so abysmal. Innocent souls have been lost under his watch. Ahmed Swale, Major Mahama, the atrocity during the Ayawaso by-election, the 7 lives that were lost during the 2020 elections, and a quantum of corruption happening under his watch. That's from Miss Alassane Sena from Tema. And then Prince Henry Koforidua says, is the GRA trying to tell us that they have not seen or received a court injunction on the controversial levy, or the GRA is trying to be part of the lawless entity under the stewardship of President Akufo-Addo-led government? Would you?
So you are coming to Madam.
You want to listen to her before you talk?
Oh, no, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's not. Thank you. But as you know, our internal elections, constituency elections are ongoing. And I wish all the contestants the best of luck, especially one central constituency. That is my constituency. You have 3 teams. People are just gunning to become chairman, vice chairman, secretary, treasurer. So I wish them all the best. Of course, I should have been in WA by now, but because of school, I still have one paper to write, so I can't go back, can't go home. So that's why I'm still in Accra. Though I have an interest there, so praying. But Sena, I listened to Honorable Nana Akumia, who is now Director General in charge of State Transport Company, once former National Communication Director of the New Patriotic Party, former Member of Parliament, former Deputy Minister under President Kufuor administration. And sincerely, I would have wished that he keeps his opinion to himself, knowing very well. I said this because we have a history. We have a history. I won't go more further, but look at 1992 down to today. How MPP has been electing their presidential candidate. I, Lennon, and as a party member, have not heard historically or in records that there has been a point that somebody said, okay, A want to be president, B want to be president, so let's pay the ticket. Why from that parent? I have not seen. All the MPP records I have read, and I have been asking people whether there has been an occasion in our party history that thing has been done. No, even at the constituency and polling stations elections, you see people contesting, and that is the core value of the New Patriotic Party. That makes us more distinct from the other political parties in this country. You tell the people what you can do, and then you allow the people to give you their mandate, then you serve the people. But when we were growing up, I understand we used to call the NDC something. In my language, uncle, it means that let's enter the house and decide that, oh, sister is interested, my brother is interested. Why should we let them go and just struggle? So let's go inside. Then the elders will prevail on my sister, put pressure, even though she might not want to agree. But when the whole society is putting pressure on you, then eventually she will just give in reluctantly, and then this man will go. But even long ago now, that thing has been fought even under the NDC in some constituencies in this country. So why would people be thinking? But my problem is, such people in NPP, are the real problem in written terms of our party. Then why didn't the party should have taken the position? Or why didn't you go around telling people, 2 or more, 5 people, gunning to become constituency chairman, that, oh, let's just don't contest, let's leave it. Okay, I'm looking at you, maybe Sena, you are beautiful, I am ugly, then let's leave the thing for you. What is that thinking coming from? When especially you know the history of those certain people in the party. This is not today, and this is not the first time Alan John Kojo Chirmanten expressed intent or in his intention of leading the New Patriotic Party as the flag bearer. So that this is not the first time. We got to know in 2007 when he contested the current president and many others, that is the 1917 aspirant. Even long before historical, some are telling that even sometimes ago he wanted to even contest alongside with President Kufuor, Jenny Selby and the rest. And later he was stopped. So why should somebody thinking today? And now my problem is when you come to see Alan Bawumia ticket, you don't leave it there. Why are you leaving it there? So what are you telling us? So now who becomes the presidential candidate and who becomes the running mate? What is it? What kind of logic is that? But I was so comforted. Some people could not took the matter on and said, no, it's easier said than done.
Why should you pay people who all want to be president? It's impossible. It's unthinkable. It doesn't even need to throw in the free. Nobody should be thinking about that. As long as I know, and the history of the party, just like we are witnessing, and these are, though they are the front runners, but there are equally other people in the scene. We have Boacha Jaku, who is expressed interest to contest, Apreku, who has expressed interest to, and many more. Who knows? Because we are still, the time is still long. Many more people maybe express interest to come. So why are you saying this? Sena, I think we have come a long way. And MPP is a national party. Where, look at the motto of the party, development in freedom, where everybody at any time, you can get the chance to harness your political potential in this party. And I think that those opinions should be kept to themselves. We don't need those opinions now. And they are not healthy. And those opinions are just recipe for disaster. And I don't think the time is right for those opinions. That is my opinion too.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me read a message that came in a bit earlier. This is Habib Bantu, the damning report from the U.S. State Department on Ghana. Human rights is nothing but the truth. Kakame Swale, 18 innocent Ghanaians killed cold blood just because of election 2020. 8 Zongo boys killed by police in Kumasi, just to mention a few. How many demonstrations has this administration stopped through police court injunctions? Why is Gregory Afoko still in jail when a court of competent jurisdiction has granted him bail? The judiciary, he says, as corrupt as a Kufuor government. There's also this one coming from, okay, there's no name. There's okay, this I think it's Angelo. Says, I am little or not surprised at all by the report from the U.S. authority. The U.S. report only highlighted some of the atrocities committed by Kufuor and Bawumia government, which is already in some Ghanaian media space. Sena, one other thing which needs serious investigation is inflation rates, as churned out by Statistical Service. We those in the market know very well. Inflation rate as at today is not 19.4%, but around 65 to 70%. Beatrice.
Okay, so when I heard the suggestion about the Bawumia Alan ticket and looking at what is happening in, currently in constituencies during their constituency primaries, William Butler's poem came to mind, which, the first 4 lines are like turning and widening dread. The falcon cannot help the falconer. Things fall apart, and mere anarchy is loosed upon the world's breath. This is just to show that the MPP has mismanaged themselves. And at the time they were mismanaging the economy, they thought it was just the economy. They are just a microcosm of a macrocosm of what they are doing. So for everything they are doing, now it is staring them in the face. Today, I am very sure that the reason why Nana Komia will give this suggestion is that I want to take the candidates, Dr. Bawumia, in the run-up to the 2016 election. He was presented as the talisman, the economic talisman, the one who had the magic wand, the one who had all the theoretical solutions. He would mount platforms and propound theories. He came to power and he developed an economic sore throat. He could not practicalize anything that he could. It appears the establishment was or is still on his part, and they want him as a replacement to President Nana. Rightly so, he's an abattoir in mismanaging the economy, so maybe it flows from there. Alan had been some way silent, as though he's part of administration for image sanitizing purpose, as though he's not part of the administration. And so, like Kojochun Boafo said, the silent majority in the heart of the MPP people, many of whom have not even benefited, they have not seen, they are even more measurable with their party in power, because this party is like, if you are not a part and parcel of the family of Nanado, you are not a direct cousin, first, second, onto a 10th cousin, you are not qualified to benefit from anything, even if your CV says otherwise. And so they have seen that it is a dangerous path for them. And that is why Dr. Nana Komia will come out and say that let's spare this ticket, because they've seen that if we bring Dr. Bawumia, recently you saw the polls, that's a very scientific poll, against President John Mahama, the chances of Dr. Bawumia winning is even slimmer from the polls. The chances of Alan Tremanti against John Mahama is also slim. And so I'm sure he was just thinking that if you have two people that we are told are going to lose anyway in 2024, maybe we can combine their losing powers together. But the question we have not been, or the question that has not been answered, is who becomes the president or the presidential candidate, and who becomes the vice presidential candidate. It's obvious that for us in the NDC, whether they combine, they segregate, they somersault it whatever way, their time is near. And you know, when the time of any animal is near to die, it first has to struggle. And that is the phase that the NPP find themselves. Because you see, for a party that disregards human lives so much that even amongst themselves, who are supposed to be friends or family members or even people who share a similar ideology, they have no respect, they have no fellow feeling, nothing. They would want to finish you if you disagree. And you've seen how even with this suggestion from Nana Komia, which is just a suggestion anyway, you see how they are up against him. That is how they view opposing views even amongst their own party. But I want to say that the signs are so clear and glaring that the NPP in the history of the Fourth Republic has been the worst government ever in every aspect of governance. The NPP is the only government that has politicized every government institution, including the Electoral Commission. They have appointed even a Tescon patron who is a full-clouded party person into an office of Electoral Commission. The police service today, if you go, they will show you the MPP police people, those who were just brought and recruited. If you go to the military, the same way. And it is evident in every aspect. And so I am not surprised that they are going through this. I wish them well, because you see, human lives are at stake. They cannot kill themselves because they want power. They cannot destabilize the country because they want power. But come what may, they should know that whatever lawlessness they are exhibiting in their primary, they cannot replicate it in the national election, because they will meet a different NDC. And that's why I want to end my submission.
Thank you. Thank you. Hadi Mpikfam said the NPP party is well known as a tradition of notorious nation wreckers who only go to politics to plunder public funds to enrich themselves. Allah save Mother Ghana from the hands of this wicked, super incompetent and substandard family and friends government. That's from Hadi Mpikfam. This one is from Abbas Amogobo in Offense, who says Akufo-Addo has lowered governance to corruption, family and friends, and scam. Earlier we all talk about it and condemn it, the better. I'm surprised we still have some Ghanaians defending this dangerous government, you see. But fine, I'm not here. Says, Sena, tell Dr. Okay, if they don't want to be scrutinized by U.S. government, then they must be bold to stop going there begging for money. They must be bold to stay here when they are sick. There's also mistaken in Sawam, who says our beloved country Ghana is in reverse gear under the leadership of the incompetent Nana Addo Dr. Bawumia-led government due to bad management, corruption, and nepotism. So no matter who leads the NPP in the upcoming 2024 election, the NDC will still win. There's also Stephen Kobnato, who says, ask Mujib for me, that now that he remembers Alan contested in 2007, he remembers Nana Addo promising Alan that Alan will come after him, just as Kufuor promised he, Akufo-Addo. Mr. Pratt.
Well, I think the first point to make is that Mr. Alan Tremanti started nursing his ambition to become presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party before His Excellency Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia joined the New Patriotic Party. And this is a fact. You understand? So how come that all of a sudden a foundation member of the party, somebody who has contributed significantly to building the party and so on, is required or expected to shelve his ambition for somebody who only recently joined the party? It's difficult to understand. Okay. Now, again, I think that one of the things which need to be looked at is that from the very beginning, it appeared that the opinion polls were suggesting that Dr. Bawumia was ahead. At that time, nobody talked about an Alan Bawumia ticket. Nobody. As soon as the opinion polls started indicating that Alan Chematin has the upper hand, then we start hearing about Alan Bawumia ticket and so on. And it sounds so fishy, it's unbelievable. It sounds so fishy. The last survey that I saw was the one which was done by the Global Info Analytics. And clearly, it puts Alan Chematin ahead of Bawumia. And you should read that report. That report is quite scientific, it's thorough, and so on. I was impressed by that report. Indeed, we interviewed those who conducted that report, and I think it will be played today on this network, you understand. Now, as soon as that indication comes that Alan is winning, then people become so jittery and say, no, let's have an Alan Bawumia ticket. Now, what does an Alan Bawumia ticket mean? What does it mean? Because they cannot be co-presidential candidates. So what does an Alan Chematin ticket, what does it really mean? And I like to go back into history. At the time that President Kufuor served his 2 terms, his sitting vice president was also from the north, and his challengers were mainly from the south. Why didn't this brilliant idea of an Alan Bawumia ticket come up then? So we could have had an Aliu Akufo-Addo ticket. Why didn't it come up then? Very strange. Okay. Now, all of these discussions also point to some poverty of analysis, extreme poverty of analysis. I recall that former President Jerry Rawlings had a car as his running mate. Both of them were not just from the south, they were actually from the coast, not just from the south. Both of them were Christians, and yet they won elections. Okay? Jerry Rawlings and Atta Mills paired up, and they won elections. From the coast also. They won elections, not just from the south, but from the coast. And they won elections. And you can look through our history and see that this whole thing, this thinking, that if you bring one north and one south, it enhances your chances of winning an election, is false. It's completely false. Our history does not bear that out. You can even move to Ghana and see an extreme case. And I refer to Nigeria as the extreme case. Because in Nigeria, ethnic, religious divisions and so on are so accentuated. Look at how Abiola won the elections. You understand? I mean, some of these politicians, I think they have to start thinking properly. Who told them that I'm supposed to come from Apam in the central region? Who told them that merely selecting an Apam candidate, a candidate from Apam, will make me vote for him? That you can go to Apam, select any idiot as a candidate, and because I'm from Apam, I'm supposed to follow that. That's an insult to the electorate. That analysis is so poor that it ends up being an insult to the electorate. Who says that because one is an atheist, any idiot who is atheist who is selected as a candidate, all atheists will follow him. Who says that because one is a Muslim, any idiot who is selected as a Muslim, every Muslim will follow that person and so on? A poverty of analysis. I mean, an analysis that takes the electorate for granted. An analysis which portrays the electorate as some sheep. I'm disgusted by that kind of analysis. You understand? Whatever it is, from what Kojo Chumwafu has said, I think Kojo Chumwafu is listening to some people in the New Patriotic Party. I have no doubt at all. Because I've also been talking to some people in the New Patriotic Party. And the impression I'm getting is that many heavyweights in the New Patriotic Party are beginning to get worried about the direction and future of that party. And their principal objective now, in their words, appears to be how to rescue this party and place it into more competent hands. They are interested in rebuilding the party and rebranding the party for the future. There are many people in the New Patriotic Party who are saying that, look, the party has been so badly damaged. Today, the popularity of the NPP has gone down so badly. And significantly, Nana Akufo admits that. In an interview which he gave only last week, Nana Akufo said that the party has become so unpopular. But he has hope that in the next 2 years, the party can begin to take some redemptive action in order to win back some of that popularity. The general secretary of the party admits that the party has become unpopular. In any case, whether they admit or not is not the issue. At the last elections, how many seats didn't this party lose? Cuban Party. How many seats didn't it lose? At the last elections, for the presidential elections, their presidential candidate lost more than 500,000 votes. These are things which must be sending messages. You understand? Sending messages to those who think that this party needs to be rescued. And if this party needs to be rescued, rescued from what to what? That's the question. You know, this Bawumia campaign machinery is so very quick to launch into vitriolic attacks on persons who do not support Bawumia. Anytime I've commented on what is happening in the New Patriotic Party and their choice of presidential candidate and so on, Master, they've come with missiles. There's somebody sitting in Jubilee House, I think his only job is to monitor the media and to respond to anything which does not sound favorable to Bawumia. You understand? And they're very quick. The other time, I made an innocent comment. Very innocent comment that looking back, it seems to me that President Kufuor paid particular attention to sentiments on the ground. And that where he found that promises he had made earlier in the campaign could not be fulfilled, he quickly came out and apologized. Come and see the attacks from the Bawumia camp. How can anybody say that President Kufuor did well, he was a listening president and so on? I said, hey, they want to fight President Kufuor too. So these people will fight anybody and everybody. They want to fight. If today you speak about the record of President Kufuor and you speak about the record of President Kufuor in good light, the Bawumia forces come after you. Very strange people. So what are they trying to do? Who is going to vote for Bawumia to become the presidential candidate if this is their conduct? if they're going to eat up everybody and attack everybody in the party and outside the party who has an unfavorable view about Bawumia, how is Bawumia going to win? Me, I am not for Bawumia. I can't be for him. It's not that I'm not for Bawumia. I can't be for him. I'm not part of the MPP. I won't vote in their elections and so on. My interest is that the people of Ghana must get a leadership which would help the people of Ghana to realize their aspirations. And our aspirations are not extraordinary. We, the people of Ghana, what do we want? Potable water to drink. Not a big deal. We want access to education so that our children can also grow up to become like Ojo Chumbuafo. That's all. Nothing more. You understand? Oh, okay, okay. No problem with that. Okay. We want better roads so that we don't have to be replacing our shock absorbers all the time. We want reasonable prices for petrol so we can pay petrol and so on. That's all the people of Ghana want. And I'm looking for a leadership which will deliver that. So whichever leaders will deliver that, I'm happy. How can I shape my life around being pro or anti-Bawumia? It's an insult to me. My brother, when we were in the trenches, where was Bawumia? Does he know how the New Patriotic Party came into being? I had the distinguished privilege of inaugurating the first Dankwa Buzia Club at the KO Methodist Park in Kumasi with Akoto Ampao. Where was Bawumia then? So how do I today define myself in terms of being pro or anti-Bawumia? Please, stop that. Bawumia, me, at my age, me, at my age, given all the things I've done in my life, today I define myself as pro or anti-Bawumia. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? They should carry on. The opinion polls are speaking loudly. Scientific opinion polls are speaking loudly. They should pay heed to the voice of the people. No, I haven't added that one.
No, I have added that one. Vox Populi. 1 second.
This is just on a lighter side. Today we all have to laugh a little. I've just picked up on a certain gentleman called Matt Imprim, who is contesting for NPP constituency organizer in the Jumako Enyan Esiam constituency. His name is Matt Imprim. And this is what he has put out, a public announcement. Those who wish to donate to my campaign should kindly do so before e-levy starts on 1st May 2022. So much for Dr. Bawumia. You see, on this program, we are all very judicious to our brother Mujib, my in-law Mujib, because nobody asked him which side of the divide he belongs to. We have spared him. Last week, Solomon Owusu told us exactly where he belongs on air without any equivocation. So much for Dr. Bawumia.
Well, let me just one or two messages.
You came late, so you know.
Yeah, because when you said that, I even introduced him as Well, Prosper Messon says, I had advised Alan to resign from Akufo-Addo's poor governance and focus on his presidential ambition. I can see before their contest, these people will find every possible means to eliminate him for Bawumia. Because Akufo-Addo and his families want to enjoy third-term presidency. Bawumia had no credibility left for himself to win any election in Ghana. Alan, please resign now and cleanse yourself from this mud. There's also Eric Okuzepan says, it's obvious fact that the Ashanti factions are vying for Alan Kojo Nchemanting, whilst the Achim factions are touting for Dr. Bawumia, who is to ensure a safety net protection for Achims. The scene is set for a split again, as happened in the 1979 elections. There's Humphrey Alive, who says, just to add a little to Kuju's submissions, the MP has been vicious and violent since Nkrumah even tried to assassinate him. It is in their DNA, the only way to win election with lies and intimidation. So those are some of the messages that are being sent on this particular issue. We're supposed to discuss the issue of workers, but of course we will do that next week, because tomorrow is May 1st. It is May Day, and tomorrow we'll celebrate the contributions of the labor movement to our forward march as a people globally. So tomorrow is May Day, and already there are indications that some groups do not even want to be part of the May Day celebration because they are not happy with the conditions of workers. So of course we'll talk about that. But we can only wish our workers all the best. And we thank them for, we are all workers. So we are grateful for our contributions we continue to make to this economy, sometimes under very terrible conditions. Especially at this time when prices of foods are jumping faster than the highest jumper in this world. So we have to appreciate the work that is being put in. So we'll be listening tomorrow, and then we'll discuss the issue. But also on May 3rd is International World Press Freedom Day. So that's something to look forward to too. And then the fast is coming to an end. Yeah. Will you, when is that?
It did on Tuesday.
Okay. So, man, I think it's
Tuesday.
Yeah, because some people are saying Monday, some people are saying Tuesday.
Oh, okay. But it's Tuesday.
Okay. There will be Eid. Yes, there will be Eid anyway. Those of you who have made it a duty.
Eid and a lot of eating.
Yes. That will be the last. Those of you who have made it, there are people who only know iftar. They don't know the fasting. There are some Christians who go and help the Muslims break their fast. They never fast, but they help in breaking the fast. You have that opportunity after Tuesday again. But congratulations to our Muslim brothers who have fasted over the 30-day period. The reasons for which you fasted, we pray that Allah answers your prayers and listens to you. We are done for today. A big thank you to our affiliate stations across the country. We are very grateful to you. Volta One TV in Ho is the other television station we are live on. And of course, a big thank you to Radio Gold 90.5 FM. We're live on Radio Gold for the very first time in 3 years. It used to be the place where we used to broadcast this program from before we moved here. Now it's TV. TV there, you can't get. You can't get. So we're broadcasting on this. We're broadcasting on Radio Gold 90.5. We're broadcasting on Ahunto 92.3 FM. A big thank you to every one of you who watched and listened. We're live on Pan-African Television. And of course, Mr. Pratt will be on at 8 p.m. Today. And the interview is with Global Info Analytics. The people carried out. Yes, 8 p.m. So do make a date to watch.
Explain the finding that Alan Martin will do better than Bawumia.
A serious thing around anyway. So do make a date and join. Of course, at 4 p.m. there's Diplomatic Affairs. There's 6 p.m. Progressive Women on. So do make a date and follow all the programs here on Pan-African Television. We are done for the day. My name is Sena Nombo. I was distinguished to be joined today by Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., who is General Secretary of the Socialist Movement of Ghana, a veteran journalist himself. And then sitting close to him is lawyer Beatrice Annan. Always a pleasure to have her on the show. Mujib Rahman joined us today.
I think she promised to come next week too.
Hey. I haven't said anything. This one there.
So she's promising on air to come next week. So.
I didn't say anything. Yeah, so the commitment has been made to Mr. Pratt. So you have to face him. A big thank you to Mujib Rahman. A big thank you to Mujib Rahman, a member of the NPP's communication team. Always wonderful to see him. And then Kojo Chomboafo, a very good friend, who is a former chief executive of the Ghana Free Zones Authority. We are done for the day. From the crew here at Pan-African Television, enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a wonderful and fruitful week. Quite a long weekend anyway.
into the land of freedom. He's the Redeemer and